I'm going to hand it over to Daniel. He's going to talk to you about the legacy system.
Hi there. So quick housekeeping note while we're talking about the Q&A too is to remember that it's not supposed to be just Q&A, right? One of the reasons we did the entire Guild Summit thing is so we can hear things from you. So don't feel like you've got to, I noticed already as people were trying to like sort of tag a question at the end there, you don't have to make one up. Like if you want to get up and just stand there and say, hey, this is my opinion on this. This is our guild feedback on this. This is what we think about this subject. That is totally acceptable. That's why you guys are here. All right? Let's talk about legacy. So I'm going to do a little bit of story time to start this out. Way back in the day when it was just me and James and Emmanuel, I believe, was still wrestling and trying to prove to immigration that he was not a diehard villain. In those early days when we'd first realized we were going to do the Old Republic, one of the very first things we ever did in the design doc was a simple little family tree that showed Vader and Luke and Leia and Han and the kids and Wookiees getting squished by moons, but you know, like sort of tried to show like the whole story and how it went through time. And this is something we had developed as a labor of love over a number of years in how it was going to hook in, what it was going to work with. But the thing about the legacy system is that it touched almost every system we had in the entire game. So as we got closer to launch and some of those systems came in super hot, we looked at the legacy system and what it was going to do and the risks that were going to be there to letting it go in that launch build. And one of the saddest things we ever had to do was pull it back and say, okay, too risky for launch. We've got the hooks in there. We want to make sure that people have the progress. But our favorite baby is going to have to wait. So the nice thing is, the wait's almost over. We're going here? So the current state of the legacy system, it's a bar. You have a bar. And we had a lot of discussions about this. We had a lot of discussions about whether or not to put the bar in because it made us look stupid. And we said, hey, here's the legacy system, enjoy. But if we had brought the bar out with the initial system and you had spent all that time building up your characters, and those people who were like me and are just alt addicts, if you had already put together your 7 guys and we said, hey, now you can get legacy experience, I think it would have made people madder. So, you know, we made the decisions we did. The good news is the bar has a function. So 1.2, hey, here it is after all these years. First thing, it's the family tree. So the family tree is automatically updated with all of your various people from all of your different things. You can decide if they're your allies, if you're getting married, if they're your kids, how they go together, all of that stuff. This is going to extend, and we've got some ideas of stuff to do it in the future. But really, it's super cool role-playing, and it touches my heart, and it does what the whole system was conceptualized to at the beginning. So the big one, obviously, everyone knows about this, which are the species unlocks. One of the things we really wanted to do was tie together that fantasy of people being places in the galaxy that you might not exactly expect them, right? My father was a Sith, but I am a Jedi. I know Luke's famous line was that he was a Jedi like his dad, but he doesn't even know that. So every species, when you go to level 50, you can unlock everywhere across the board. So you can say, hey, now it makes sense to me, like, you know, the question of, hey, how did I get this pure blood Jedi? Well, that's how I did. I had my dad there, and I've got an elaborate story, and look, I'll put it on my website, and it'll have things from my family tree, and I'll explain it all to you. It'll be great. We got a role-playing session later. And there's this thing. This is a slide that Stephen built for me. So one of the questions comes up is, what about humans? I can already be a human everywhere. So humans gets presence stat. Obviously, presence is helping the power of your companion characters. So it gives you a nice presence stat across everything. So if you know you're going to be doing even more alting, having your human is nice for that one. One of the ones that only exists in some of them, but is a personal favorite that I was really surprised how good it turned out, is if you happen to play Cyborg, you may not have noticed in different places that many of the classes all have individual Cyborg attachments. The troopers have their own, the agents have their own, the smuggler has a different set, etc. When you finish as a cyborg, you unlock all of them, so you unlock Uber Cyborg class. So then you can go in and do some pretty cool stuff with it. Oh, there it is.
And that's not just true for Cyborg, but also, for example, the Twi'lek colors as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, you unlock Zabrak, you unlock every Zabrak, right? So you've got your Zabraks from the light side, your Zabraks from the dark side. You unlock Twi'leks, you unlock all Twi'leks. So now you can mix and match. You can take your Imperial sort of mean tiger stripes and put them on the good colors, etc., etc. So all the way across. It's pretty fun stuff. So global unlocks. So complete chapter 2. Unlock a class emote. Okay, all right, we've got a cool class emote. And then all of your unlocks, these are all globals. So now everybody can use your class emote. You also unlock your class's buff, what we call the Uber buff. So I've already finished the Sith Warrior. Now, I've finished chapter 2 for my Sith Warrior. Now I go back to my Bounty Hunter. Now when I cast Hunter's Boon on myself, I actually get the Sith Warrior buff as well. So eventually, when you're alting and you're playing completely with the noobs at level 12 in PvP, you can stop saying, clasp off, clasp off. You just do it your damn self. So, easy example. So, and that's for every chapter piece for chapter 2. So, chapter 3, the heroic ability for all other legacy characters. So, you guys know right now there's a power that's called Heroic Moment. Everyone know about this? This is like your get out of dodge card when you're playing PvE and you realize that you've way bit off too much more than you can chew. We're using that piece to do the legacy heroic abilities. And the reason we're doing that is because it instantly negates the problems of anywhere you shouldn't have a companion character. So we can give you some big, ridiculous, OP, super fun powers, knowing you can't take them into ops. I know what they're called. You can't take them into ops, you can't take them into war zones. We don't have to worry about that, so we can just let it open and have fun with it. So yeah, it requires a heroic moment to use, requires an active companion. Right, so pretty easy. I've finished the Sith Warrior, and I have finished the Sith Warrior because I knew this was coming. So now, on my extra people, I've actually got his heroic ability for everyone in my legacy. Everybody that I've got can force choke the hell out of people. Now it's one of those discussions we had very early on this, when we talked about it, was, okay, this needs to look cool. I need to see the example. What else? And I believe this was James Olin that put in the, I want to punk a boss. That was his, so there are also a number of people in the realm of Flashpoint bosses and things, or bosses out in the world that you might not expect to be able to force choke, that you can force choke anyway. Heroic abilities are about showing off and being pretty ridiculous. Okay, so companion characters. Every type of companion character is how we sectionalize them off. So completing a companion character. How often have you seen the like, I maxed out my companion character and I didn't get nothing except, a little fade to black. I mean, that was nice and all, but maybe something a little bit more substantial. So when you complete a character for any one type, so ranged tank is a type, that is going to do a shorter cooldown for your heroic moment, so you can use them for more, and it is going to unlock a small stat boost. So collect them all, folks. For those people who are saying, oh, well, what if I'm not alting? Well, you probably still want to get into this, and we'll talk about something that'll make that less painful in a minute. And additional presence buff for each additional companion. So you say, hey, I've already unlocked I've done Mako, so I've already got my healer one, but now I'm over here, and do I want to do Quinn? Yeah, I want to do Quinn, because he's actually going to give a presence buff to my entire legacy. So if you really want to go through every one of those companions and finish them out, we're going to give you rewards for all of it. So, more examples. Corso, everybody loves Corso. All right, let's be clear. That guy doesn't love Corso. So you finish him off as a ranged tank, you get a little bit of a stat bonus, you get your heroic moment cooldown, everything else goes a little bit better. If you do it again, additional presence buff. Continuing to play a smuggler, we do it again, same thing. Critical hit boost, these are just examples, so not necessarily the exact ones. And you unlock your presence buff. So global unlocks, alignment abilities. So there are cool abilities that come with being, I've maximized my dark side, I've maximized my light side, I've maximized my gray. Maximizing my gray will not appear in 1.2. Sorry, working on it. Unlocks the active abilities for all legacy characters. So this is another one that there's some cool rewards for. But not all the rewards are combat and kicking ass and doing cool things. We also wanted stuff that helped with the storytelling, pulled everything together. And there's Valor rank unlocks. That was one of them. So Valor ranks unlocks, we had these sitting around for a long time. This is a personal passion of Mr. William Wallace on the team, was unarmed duels. So we went, you can't change weapons in mid-combat. So we know if you start unarmed, you have to stay unarmed. So there are a series of unarmed moves, jabs and uppercuts and swings, and they do different stuns and their strategic value. And you can unlock them with Valor stuff, and you can go roll around and be a Street Fighter. Social rank unlocks. So social rank unlocks. This one showed up in a random article as like the only thing that was in 1.2. It was very strange. Was that you could dance with your companion. I guess they were very excited about it. It is true. There is a thing, unlocked dance your companion. The one I'm really excited about is there are RP packages that come with the emote packages. So there are several packages that you unlock through social stuff that will unlock a big group of role-playing emotes. So we went through the whole game and we found all the stuff that we'd done for storytelling, every place that you're pulling out data pads and scanning things and giving speeches and doing all this stuff that I can't name it because we're supposed to be anonymous, but let's say I'm in a ridiculously hardcore RP guild that I had to like audition and write essays and things for. Maybe you guys are here. You're insane. And we definitely notice how many tools are still missing there when you're trying to do a big scene. So they're coming. So really important, most rewards in Legacy can be purchased. So you people who are floating on 5 and 6 million credits, we know who you are. If you want to bust out day one and say, hey, I'd like some of that stuff now, and I don't really want to talk to all those companions because I don't care. Most of that stuff is purchasable. And some of the stuff will roll out as not purchasable in the first version we do it, right, to reward people who have put in the time and put in the effort, and say in a patch coming after that will end up being unlocked for purchase. They're expensive, though.
They're all retroactive, so if you finish your Sith Warrior, you unlock these things, and the moment 1.2 goes onto the servers, you will have these benefits unlocked.
Yeah, so everyone clear with that. That's incredibly important. All of this, when 1.2 goes up, will go through your character, see what you've already done, and you'll unlock a ton of stuff. So, and also, you got a little bit of time if you really want to go finish a character out right now. So species unlocks, Valor unlocks, social unlocks, Dark Knight, all that is unlockable by money as well, because we want to make sure that these things are still around for people who, maybe they're going to do one alt, maybe they're going to do two alts, but maybe so far what you guys have done is you've got one character and you've just been playing the hell out of that one character. Well, you've probably got a bunch of money, so you can do this without taking the alting route. Oh, there's more of them. Oh yeah, so cooldown reductions for the emergency fleet pass and the quick travel pass, for those of you who like to run around a lot. And this guy. Hold on. I should have just rolled right through that one. So that is not a free-form flight for a bounty hunter. I didn't even think about that until I saw your faces. So there is an advanced sprint that comes. It's sort of the level pass sprint. Let's talk about what's happening with sprint anyway, because that's done, right?
You asked that.
Well, I can just not say anything about it. Okay, so the big one is we've actually moved sprint to level 1, which you'll actually see in a new patch anyway. So for all of those people who've been in the awkward 10 to 13 years when you're prepubescently trying to run in Hutball and everybody runs faster than you do. But now we've got a new level of that, so these people will still run faster than you. If you're a bounty hunter, it's your jetpack. If you're anybody else, it's a actually very cool looking prequel sort of rocket boots. So a little bit of Clone Wars action going on. It's a limited short thing. It looks cool. And there's a bunch of toys that come for that. We've also got a bunch of items for your ship. We've started rolling out cool things that you can do in your ship. Including, let's see, training dummies. So test your combat rotations. There is an operations dummy, and there is a war zone dummy. And I think that Georg may have mentioned that you're going to have a log that you can pull all that information from now. So, what? Friendly dummy for healing. All right, if it is not possible to heal the dummies right now, we will check. Damien, I'm sure, is putting it on his list as we go. This is why we're here. Ideas are good. Repair droid. So he's on your ship. The repair droid is your friend. He will, it looks like we're losing some power. He will repair your items. He will buy your items. He will sell you upgrades for your ship droids that improve specific crafting abilities. Mailbox. Auction house.
Jesus Christ, that stuff is hardcore.
The auction house is very, very high up the legacy. We do not want to, Galactic, see, I did it, Galactic Trade Network. All right, James got me on I got ops though. All right, so the Galactic Trade Network, this is way up the legacy. The fleet is one of our most important spaces, and we do want to keep it populated. We basically set this one up at, if you have this much money and you are this high up the legacy, it is totally okay for you to go Howard Hughes and just go become a crazy hermit in your ship. Legacy items. So, legacy weapons and armor, what's going to happen is you're going to be out there playing and you're going to be level 40, you're going to be level 50, you're going to be playing a character, and you are going to see a big purple drop happen. And you're going to go, whoa, and you're going to pick it up, and what you're going to get is some ridiculously epic loot for a level 10 or a level 15 alt. So you're going to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to take that in. A lot of these are tokened, so you can pick your alt. You can say, hey, I'm going to take this to the token thing. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And now that I've got a couple amazing items for this, I think I know that I'm going to, I'm going to pick a trooper next. So I'm going to go ahead and get his gear together, have something to grow into, and be able to just go kick the heck out of everybody for a while. They're bound to legacy. So one of the things about the legacy is you have full mailing options for bound to legacy stuff. So bind to legacy is instead of bind on pickup. So you can't trade them with other players, but you can trade them within your legacy. It is important too to note that you can actually send anything that you could normally send to players on your own faction to anybody in your legacy. which brings up a lot of trading interests. They do not scale. You'll eventually grow out of them, but you can be really, really fun for a while there. Legacy appearances, so there are unique orange items that are only unlockable by legacy levels, which can be used, and then you can parade around and show how cool you are. Future of Legacy, what's on this? So character-specific rewards. Oh, this one. All right, so this does not sell this. So what's coming next? So the next step, everything we got here was global. All the stuff that happens right now this is stuff that happens for everyone. The next step is customizing your alt experience. The next step stuff you're gonna see rolling out is actually things where you can decide, hey, I just want a PvP for this guy, so I'm gonna go ahead and purchase a PvP experience points buff. And I'm gonna make sure that all the time I'm doing experience, I'm gonna do this. You know what, I want my speeder license way before I get it now. I wanna be zooming around on my, who would like to move faster through Coruscant? Right, these are the kind of experiences we're gonna get with that, which is totally different ways to customize your own gameplay through each one of your alts. And that's going to be the next chapter of Legacy. The big thing for Legacy is this is a core part of the Old Republic and was always supposed to be. It is going to continue to come and develop. There's going to be huge rewards associated with it and really exciting stuff. And you'll probably get to see, so 1.2, obviously the first big one. 1.3 is the next big one. And then you'll continually see things feeding into the Legacy program all the way through the future. Yeah, like that. So it sounds exciting, doesn't it? All right, discussion topics. What do you think? What are you most excited about? We like that one. What is your biggest concerns? So, questions, commentary, things from your guilds, whatever, bring it on.
Just as a reminder, like I said, keep your hand up so we can get to you faster for the next set of questions.
Testing. All right. I have an alt on a different server. Am I going to be able to transfer him to my server so I can get the legacy bonus from him? Because I didn't know about legacy before I rolled my character on a different server.
When character transfers come, you will, in fact, we do have a brilliantly complicated design that took Damien a long time to pound out. So when character transfers come, which is not in the immediate future, you will be able to move characters between them. They will meld, and you will end up with the higher of the two legacies.
Thank you.
As a role player, I'd like to know if it's possible, or if it will be possible, to share legacies with other players, even if not the rewards, maybe at least a last name.
I would just like to announce that somebody has just pegged Damien Schubert's biggest pet project ever. So the short version of that is we do not have a plan where we know how to make that work yet, but we have a lot of enthusiasm for the idea on staff.
Hi, two quick questions. One, are we going to be able to use Force Choke on the Republic side?
Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. And if
You
we
know,
unlock a race later on, will you be able to change the race to the previous alts, or are you going to have to create a new character for that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
If you unlock a new race by getting a character to 50 and you have an alt that's a lower level, will you be able to change that race, or will you have to create a new character to use the new races?
Okay, so totally got confused. So yes, if you unlock a new species, not race, that's different. If you unlock a new species, you cannot go back and retroactively rebirth the people around you. You'll have to actually make a new guy.
Thank you.
Things like lightsaber choices, weapon choices, things like that, are there any plans to possibly allow characters to use a weapon that's not necessarily designed for them in a aesthetic sort of way? Something like a Sith warrior using a double-bladed lightsaber. Even though I can understand there would be huge changes in PvP or whatever with an actual change, is there a way to do some kind of aesthetic version?
One of the things we've actually done is, so you nailed it on the head, which is that we can't give you an entirely new weapon build for that. One of the things we've done is address that in the heroic abilities, which we will have more of coming in the future. So you may not be able to do that, but you may get the trooper grenades or the things that are easily iconic that we can transfer between, but not as a permanent weapon stat change.
I can actually add to that. So the legacy system, as Daniel said, is something we're going to be expanding upon in Game Update 2, 3, 4, and into the future. And what you just talked about there, the ability for a Sith warrior to be able to use a double-bladed lightsaber, that's something that has come up in discussions for potential new legacy. Like the thing is, we have all kinds of different ways we can expand legacy, and that is one possibility. So yeah, if you guys have other ideas of what you'd like to see in legacy, this is a good forum for it.
My members, the most thing they want out of Legacy is cosmetic stuff. And one of the things that's in another game, which I will mention, that some of my members are still in, is the ability to change the look of your character, hair, eye color, scratch. You get all the way to 50 and you're going, I don't really like the color of that hair. I don't really like that. They call it a barbershop, where you can go in and change your hair, make it long, make it short. Those kind of things at the end. And also, just basically unlocking slots where you can do cosmetics, more cosmetics, because some people are cosmeticaholics, I tell you. They got 8 different outfits. It's winter outfit, it's summer outfit, they're in Alderaan, they're in Tatooine, you know what I mean? That's what my team is looking for, something like that. To really customize.
So, and I will go ahead and address that one. In the short term, short term, quotes, there is definitely a plan on there to allow player customization post-creation. And what we've always said is sort of anything that you can conceivably change in a sci-fi Star Wars setting, we'll let you change. That won't be rolling out for a little while. Being able to carry around several different outfits and flip them in and out and do all that stuff, that's definitely on the table, but even further back. But is something personally I really enjoy, because I'm also that guy. The bikinis on Hoth offend me.
So earlier you mentioned that if we have an alt, they'll be able to use the buff all through one character. Does that apply only for ourselves? So if I buff myself, does it buff my party with all of my legacy characters' buffs as well?
Correct. So you are a one-man buff machine.
So potentially we wouldn't have to bring, say, Sentinels to our raids anymore.
So, wow. There is a young lady in red back here who is going to wander over and whoop you later. But yes, it does mean, for instance, if you guys wanted to do a super powered, we're gonna go 8-man trooper team into a war zone, you could still buff everybody, which is the intent.
Okay, I wanted to ask about banking with your legacy, with your alts. Is there going to ever be any shared space so that you could just drop things in the bank for your alts and share it across the board through the bank?
So the legacy bank is definitely on the table. It was behind the guild bank, which obviously was much more important to get done faster, but gives us a lot of interesting hooks that we can use for later. So yeah, we're pro legacy bank.
We're also lifting some of the mail restrictions with 1.2, because obviously if you play an alt and you choose the other side, which we incentivize you to, you want to send some help over there, right?
More character slots. Will those be legacy unlocks or on the way? Or are there any plans for that? Because I know that we have multiple people who have all 8 filled already in our guild.
There are, at the moment, no plans for additional character slots that are on the thing, but suggestion is noted and entered into the records.
So in regards to the leveling up of a character, like the class quests are unique, are you looking to do anything around making the experience a little bit more enjoyable and not having to repeat some of the solo content?
Yeah, so that's absolutely the character customization stuff I was talking about that's rolling towards 1.3, which is, there's already, let's be clear, in our game, there are more paths to get through there because you get XP for everything, which you've noticed if you're a completionist. I know in the last character I didn't play anything except class content all the way through, because you may have guessed I've seen a lot of this stuff already. And then I just played a ton of PvP. What we're going to do in 1.3 is we're going to allow you to actually buy buffs that will give you additional experience points for the things you want to be doing. So you really can cut out a lot of the other stuff.
The class buffs, are those going to be cross-faction as well?
Yes. They don't stack though, and they're, you know, the two from the two sides are functionally the same. So your warrior and your knight buff will not stack on top of each other. Let's be that would be game crippling.
You will actually see the faction appropriate buff on you, so you're not going to see Hunter's Boon on a smuggler. You would see the trooper version of that.
But at the same time, you don't have to just do the ones. So if you finished Knight, Consular, Bounty Hunter, Agent, you could still get the full buff complement.
How likely is it that we're going to see in-game Flashpoint or Operation being bind to Legacy to like try to extend the farming of your operations? You know, after you've got your set of gear on your main character, maybe you can try to start gearing out some of your alts?
There is no present concept for that. And Gabe, do you want to comment on the?
Yeah, I mean, no current plans on that. As far as we've got specific legacy items like you spoke about, and then a lot more focus on the different crafting mods and being able to extract all slots. So there's going to be sort of an inherent flexibility with kind of gearing up your alts going forward with 1.2, but specifically getting the BOP outfits and handing it to someone else, no plans for that.
That being said, one of the things that we're looking forward in either 1.3 or 1.4 is adding at least one huge quest that unlocks something for all of your characters if you complete it.
Just 2 quick points here. Is there any way that in the legacy system that somehow in the future maybe plans that we could incorporate a dual spec? So like if you have a Sith sorcerer playing DPS and you're in a group and we need a healer, you could swap to a healing spec.
So more than dual spec, multi-spec is coming. We are extremely excited about. I think there's actually probably a thing for it later on. You are right to guess that it's probably going to be tied into the legacy system. The first version, which will come a little bit earlier, but not 1.2, will just be allowing you to save multiple specs. The second system, which will come later on, will be full gear layouts.
That's great. And the only other thing I had is my character hit the legacy point before the great big splash screen that tells you this will affect all of your future characters. Is there any plans in the future to be able to change your chosen legacy name?
Damien, do we have an update on that?
Right now, you have to go to a CSR. I'm actually writing a design document now for a service for name changes for both player and legacy names to be automated. That's
so it's something we've had a huge amount of asking for. I have to assume we're going to let people do it. We do not have the functionality to do it today.
That being said, whatever we do is going to be gated by either time or money or some way, because we really want your legacy name to be part of your identity. We don't want people to have hey, this week I feel like being a Skywalker. Next week I feel like being a McCoy.
Hey, just a simple question from some guildmates. Is there a maximum level right now? We have some people approaching 48, 49 legacy, so they're just curious.
So rest is good, food is good, seeing loved ones.
It's not me.
It's a guy I know. Damien, do we? I don't think there's actually a max level planned, is there?
Right now the cap is 50. Right now.
Right, but there's nothing programmatically that says. In fact, one of the interesting things about putting the and don't just get mad at these guys if you know them, and they're kind of the kids who throw off the bell curve in school. But one of the interesting things about putting the levels in there early is that before we released 1.2, we could look at all of your levels and we could see where people were and actually peg rewards appropriately for where we wanted them to be. So definitely expandable.
Until 1.2 though, it's going to be through 1.2. It's going to be 50, and that's probably it.
Correct.
One of the interesting things about putting the bar and nothing but the bar in at launch is that there is a very, very small number of you out there that looked at that bar and said, "Challenge accepted." And
Damien is our on-staff representation of that exact type of player.
Okay, we are going to take a few questions with the live stream. We'll probably come back for a couple more from you guys. So handing over to Eric again.
Which, can I just start out by mentioning with a progress report that we broke 20,000 viewers during this panel online? All right, so our first question, and I think this is kind of a suggestion, but a question, and it comes from someone with the unfortunate name of Guest. Any plan to give some form of a crafting advantage through the legacy system? And the example that he gives is, my father was a biochemist. Why not being able to use a biochem stim with a biochem requirement on my other character who's a cyber tech?
Georg, I love it. Georg, tell us if we're crazy.
I'm sure you'll love it.
Georg has the unfortunate job, so you guys understand, of balancing ridiculous stuff that we come up with because it sounds fun.
So I'm definitely not going to outright dismiss it. We're actually opening a lot of our crafting system, more BOE, less BOP with 1.2. This particular feature is definitely not in 1.2. The one thing from the legacy system that you can use to improve your crafting is that nice ship droid has a whole bunch of outfits or droid cores that you can purchase from that repair astromech that improves specific crafting skills. That's a benefit of legacy if you are able to get that. The other thing is he got a new personality matrix. He actually likes those luxury goods that the organic meat bags like. So you can build affection with him, improve him past what he's capable of doing right now. That should help, and we put a voice restraining bolt on him.
Yes, everyone was aware of when a bug becomes a meme. You probably need to get out and do that one. So you guys heard it first here. Georg says, "Awesome, we'll do that," and he put it on the list. Next one.
All right, our next question comes from Sudivs. What about your companions? Can you put them into your family tree?
Not right now. I know. And it is, so when I said Family Tree was going to be expanding and we had other things we wanted to do in the future with it, if it turns out to be a popular thing, yes, there's a lot of stuff we want to do. And step one is, shouldn't my wife be here?
All right, our next question comes from Akramir. Are we likely going to see cosmetic ship upgrades from Legacy in the future?
You are likely to see cosmetic ship upgrades in the future. Whether or not they will be tied to Legacy, that one's pretty far down the line. But we love the same stuff you love, and assuming that you love a big pink Hello Kitty looking smuggler ship, then we're all on the same page here. But it's quite a ways down the road.
All right, our next question comes from Justin, and I'm sure this one is for you, Daniel. Just my opinion, how can an agent use the Force when he or she does not have the ability? I don't think this keeps with the Star Wars storyline that everyone loves.
So the whole point of the Legacy is that we have seen repeatedly through Star Wars canon that Force using potential goes very strongly through families. So the only way to unlock it is actually to have somebody in your family tree that already does have the Force using potential. So we were all over that.
All right, so this looks like it's probably one for Gabe, maybe. It comes from Jalen. How will the heroic moment abilities affect open world PvP, where a companion can be used?
It'll make it more interesting.
Heroic damage. It'll introduce heroic damage. Right now, you can do it in open world PvP. I mean, that's all I can say about that.
Open world PvP is the Wild West, and it's supposed to, right? Like, you can also bring 16 of your friends to the duel.
Now, the objective-based areas like Ilum, you can't bring companions to it, so we'll probably be sticking to that to some regard. Can't say for sure, so it won't introduce an imbalance into that. Another thing to note, though, that's interesting about the heroic abilities with the companions is that will enable you to potentially do some of the hard mode flashpoints with less than 4 players as companions doing more damage, etc.
Challenge accepted.
There you go. First to put it on YouTube, props.
Yeah, Damien will get the achievement for soloed all the hard mode flashpoints into the game, and we're ready to roll.
All right, we are coming up on a full half hour behind schedule right now, so I do want to wrap things up. Daniel does like to talk. By a show of, by a general round of applause, happy with the legacy stuff you saw revealed here?